The galaxy had always believed it knew everything. Empires controlled planets, star systems, and entire sectors with fleets that stretched for light years. They thought themselves invincible. They thought no race could rise without their permission. Humanity, in their eyes, was just another young species, curious, noisy, reckless. Dangerous in their unpredictability, perhaps, but not a real threat. Commander Talora of the Aerith Alliance stared at the glowing holoscreen on her bridge. Red dots flickered across star charts and her fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted the readings. Hundreds of unknown ships were moving across uncharted space, human ships, and not just a handful. Far more than the intelligence reports had ever predicted. The humans had rebuilt. They had multiplied. They had survived. "It cannot be," Talora whispered. Her voice barely reached the officers around her. "We destroyed most of their fleets in the last campaign. There should be nothing left. Nothing." But the readings were unmistakable. The sensors had not lied. Human vessels, some sleek and new, others patched together from scavenged scrap, were converging. They moved not with chaos, but with precision. Every ship, every crew, seemed to carry purpose. And with that purpose came something the Aerith Empire could not measure with numbers or firepower. Spirit. The council hall of the Aerith Empire was in uproar. Advisors shouted over one another. Generals argued with pale faces, and the Emperor watched from his throne, silent but terrified. The humans were never supposed to fight like this. They were never supposed to endure the losses, rebuild the fleets, and strike back with determination. The arrogance of the Empire had failed to understand that humanity fought not just with weapons but with hope. Across the galaxy, on a human command ship called Resolve, Admiral Rena Voss stood on the bridge, gazing at the stars. Her hands rested, lightly on the rail, but her mind raced. The fleet was growing. Ships from systems once thought isolated, once thought vulnerable, had joined. Civilian vessels had been converted, older ships patched and upgraded, every contribution counted. "We are more than our ships," she told her crew. "We are humanity, and they thought fear could stop us. They were wrong." Her words carried weight. Every human on that bridge, every soldier, pilot, and engineer felt it in their hearts. They were fighting not only for survival, but for memory, for the planets lost, the friends gone, and the families they promised to protect. Every ship, every weapon, every sacrifice meant something. It was more than a battle. It was a statement. Humanity would not bow. When the first human transmissions reached the Aerith Empire, the message was simple and chilling. "We are not finished. We are only beginning." The council erupted in panic. Strategists scrambled star maps and tried to predict the humans' next move. Generals spoke in fearful tones about what the humans could do next. Talora's hands tightened on her console. She had fought many battles, but never against a force so unpredictable, so unyielding, so terrifying in its unity. The humans did not fight for dominance. They did not fight for territory. They fought for life itself and for freedom. They had learned from every defeat, adapted faster than any other species, and now returned stronger than anyone expected. Talora realized the truth as she looked at her fleet's holograms. The humans were not just surviving. They were proving. A simple fact the galaxy had forgotten. Spirit, courage, and hope could not be destroyed by numbers, technology, or fear. The Aerith Empire had prepared for an enemy it could count, an enemy it could crush. Humanity was neither. And so, as the stars stretched endlessly before her, Talora felt the first real tremor of fear. Humanity was coming. Not just with ships, but with something far more powerful. Something the Empire could not understand, measure, or defeat. The humans were coming with hope, courage, and a fire that burned brighter than any weapon. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The galaxy had always thought of Earth as small, quiet, and insignificant. But it was about to learn how wrong it had been. Near the edge of the Helios Rift, a tiny human scout fleet moved through the darkness. Their ships were sleek and silent, gliding like shadows past stars and asteroid fields. Alien scouts, expecting an easy patrol, were the first to notice something unusual. What is that?" One alien officer whispered, his tentacles trembling as he stared at the approaching vessels. The formation was precise, calculated, and far larger than any fleet this sector had ever seen. On board the human flagship, Titan's Wrath, Admiral Helena Ray watched the alien reaction on the tactical screens. She did not smile. Her calmness was her strength, but inside a quiet satisfaction bloomed. Humanity had waited long, observed long, and now it was finally time to step forward. A communications officer spoke, voice tight with nervous energy. "Admiral, the aliens are sending a transmission. They want to know who we are." Helena's eyes gleamed. "Let them wonder," she said softly. "They think they know us. They will soon learn how little they understand." The alien signal crackled in their communications room. The voice was sharp, demanding, full of pride. "Who dares to enter the Helios Rift? Identify yourselves at once or be destroyed." Helena's hand hovered over the console, not out of hesitation, but to allow a pause that would make the aliens feel the weight of silence. "We are humans," she said finally. Her voice was soft, steady, carrying no threat, yet every word resonated like a promise. "We have watched, we have waited, and we have arrived." A stunned silence followed. The aliens had expected either obedience or fear. Instead, they faced calm, strength, and an unfamiliar sense of purpose. Humanity did not yell. Humanity did not beg. Humanity simply existed, and that presence was louder than any weapon. In the alien command, panic spread. Councils that had dismissed Earth suddenly realized a mistake that could not be undone. Thousands of ships, one ambassador muttered, They have thousands of warships." Helena turned to her officers. "Do not respond with aggression," she said. "Let them feel our presence. Let them understand what patience can build." Her words were simple, yet every officer felt their truth. Humans were not reckless. They were prepared. Every calculation, every secret mission, every hidden fleet had led to this moment. The alien fleet hesitated, unsure whether to attack or retreat. Humanity's silence spoke volumes. Ships moved with perfect coordination, weapons hidden but ready, shields glowing, faintly under the starlight. Every movement was a demonstration. Earth was not a planet to ignore. One young pilot whispered to his friend, "Are we really going to fight them if they attack?" Helena overheard and shook her head, her voice calm. "We fight if we must. But today is about letting them know who we are without firing a shot. Strength is not only in battle. It is in restraint, in patience, in the courage to wait and watch." As the alien envoys sent their messages in rapid sequences, the galaxy began to whisper. The quiet planet they had overlooked for centuries was not quiet anymore. It had arrived, not with noise or arrogance, but with silent, unstoppable presence. Helena's gaze returned to the stars. The first whisper of Earth's power had reached the galaxy, and it was enough. Enough to make powerful civilizations reconsider, enough to shake their pride, enough to plant fear alongside respect. Somewhere deep in the command station, the young officer smiled nervously. "Admiral, they're listening." Helena nodded slowly. "Yes. And now, the galaxy will never forget the name of our planet." Outside, in the darkness between stars, Earth's fleet glided silently forward. Thousands of warships, hundreds of thousands of humans, and one unshakable truth. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and they would never make that mistake again. The first whispers of humanity's arrival had reached every corner of the galaxy, and the reactions were mixed. Some alien civilizations were curious, some were fearful, and some were angry. They had dismissed Earth for centuries, imagining it weak and unimportant. Now, that illusion was gone. In the corridors of the Galaxian High Council, alien leaders argued fiercely. "They should not have fleets like this," shouted one elder. "We must strike them before they grow stronger." Another voice countered, calm but firm. Patience. They have not attacked anyone, yet. Meanwhile, in the command bridge of Titan's Wrath, Admiral Helena Ray watched the reports carefully. "They are sending fleets toward the Helios Rift," she said quietly, her voice calm, though her mind raced with strategy. "They want to test us. They want to see if Earth is weak." A young officer, still new to this scale of power, swallowed nervously. "Admiral, what if they attack us?" Helena turned, her eyes steady and unwavering. "Then they will learn why humans wait and watch. Preparation is strength, courage is action, and fear belongs to those who underestimate us." The approaching alien coalition was formidable, dozens of ships bristling with weapons, shields glowing ominously. Yet Helena's fleet did not flinch. Thousands of human vessels hidden in deep space sectors for decades now orbited strategically, a silent wall of strength. Communication signals crackled across the void. "You have no right to be here," an alien general declared, voice harsh with arrogance. "Leave or face destruction." Helena's response was calm, almost gentle. "We have every right. We have watched while you held meetings and made decisions that affect us without us. We have waited quietly for centuries. And now, we are here." There was no shout, no bluster, just calm, quiet authority. And in that moment, the aliens realized something terrifying. Humanity did not need to scream to be powerful. Their presence alone carried a weight no one had expected. Tension hung in the dark expanse of space like an electric storm. Every fleet held its position. Every alien ship studied the humans with fear, awe, and disbelief. Humanity had never sought attention, never demanded respect. But now the galaxy's arrogance faced a patient and unstoppable force. Helena moved among her officers, speaking softly, yet each word carried the gravity of centuries of preparation. "Do not provoke," she said. "Do not fire unless necessary. Let them see our patience. Let them see that our power is not empty threats. It is real, and it is focused." The alien coalition debated fiercely. Some ships began to retreat, sensing that their pride might lead to destruction. Others, fueled by stubborn arrogance, moved forward. But even as tension grew, they could not attack without risk. Every human vessel was strategically placed, ready to defend, but also ready to act in unison like a living organism. A young pilot looked out from her cockpit at the alien fleet. "Admiral, do they really think we're afraid?" she whispered. Helena's voice came through the comms, calm and steady. "Fear is their mistake. Humans do not fear what they prepare for. We do not panic. We endure. And when the moment comes, we act with purpose." Hours passed. The coalition's fleets shifted, nervously, unsure of the humans' next move, and as the stars sparkled silently around them, the first true lesson of Earth's power became clear. Patience can be more dangerous than aggression, restraint can be more feared than wrath, and a species underestimated for centuries could rise, with unstoppable strength. Helena's eyes softened as she looked at the vast assembly of her fleet. "They wanted to test us," she said quietly. "Now, they will remember us." Somewhere across the galaxy, whispers of Earth's fleets spread like wildfire. It was no longer a rumor. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had never seen a display like this before. Humans moved with calm determination, but their presence alone stirred fear and awe. For decades, alien empires had underestimated Earth, calling it weak and unimportant. That mistake would soon cost them. Near the Helios Rift, a small but ambitious faction decided to test humanity's strength. They unleashed a strike force against an Earth convoy transporting supplies to a distant colony. Dozens of alien warships surged forward, weapons gleaming, shields shimmering in the void. Their message was clear. We will teach Earth its place. On board Titan's Wrath, Admiral Helena Ray studied the enemy fleet. Her face remained calm, but inside, a fire burned. "Prepare the defense grid," she said. We fight only when we must, but we will not back down. Humanity protects what matters. The young officer who had once asked if they were ready now gripped his console tightly. Admiral, they're moving fast. Helena's eyes met his on the screen. Speed is meaningless without precision. Remember our training. Remember our patience. We do not panic and we do not falter. The first shots lit the darkness. Energy beams streaked across space, striking shields and exploding in blinding light. But humanity's ships moved like a single organism. Each maneuver was calculated, every strike precise. Alien pilots could not anticipate human tactics. They had never seen strategy this perfect, this fearless. Despite the overwhelming size of the enemy, human losses were minimal. The enemy's arrogance and underestimation became their undoing. One by one, alien ships faltered, their formations breaking under the coordinated movements of human warships. Helena observed silently. We do not seek their destruction for pride, she said. We fight to protect life, to show that underestimating humanity is dangerous. Every move we make is a lesson. A young pilot's voice crackled over comms, excitement and fear mingling. Admiral, they're retreating. They're falling apart. Helena's lips curved into a faint smile. Yes, they are learning. Let them see what patience and preparation can achieve. Across the battlefield, the chaos of combat illuminated the humans' true strength. They were not reckless. They were disciplined, not vengeful. They were strategic. Each ship carried the weight of centuries of preparation, a silent message to the galaxy. Earth had arrived, and it was not to be ignored. The alien faction's leader watched his fleet crumble. Pride turned to disbelief, disbelief to fear. How can one species do this? He whispered to his officers. We outnumber them. We outgun them. Yet, we lose. Helena stood quietly on the bridge of Titan's Wrath, watching the stars and the remnants of the battle. This is not the end, she said softly. It is a reminder. Humanity does not act out of anger, but out of responsibility. We endure, we protect, and when we must, we strike. The surviving alien ships fled, leaving the humans victorious. But Helena did not celebrate. Her eyes remained on the stars. The galaxy was vast, and many more challenges awaited. Humanity had shown strength, yes, but it had also shown restraint. And restraint, the galaxy would soon learn, could be more terrifying than any weapon. As the fleet regrouped, young officers whispered among themselves, filled with awe. They were unstoppable, one said. Helena's voice carried over the comms, steady and unwavering. We are not unstoppable because of our weapons. We are unstoppable because we are united, prepared, and patient. Remember this. Humanity has not yet revealed its full power. The galaxy is only beginning to understand what Earth represents. In the silent expanse of space, Earth's fleets moved forward, leaving a lasting impression on every civilization that witnessed their strength. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now it would remember the humans forever. After the battle near the Helios Rift, the galaxy began to whisper. News of humanity's quiet yet decisive power spread like wildfire. Civilizations that had once dismissed Earth were now uneasy, some fearful, others awed. They had expected weak, small, and unimportant humans, but what they saw instead was discipline, courage, and restraint. On board Titan's Wrath, Admiral Helena Ray walked slowly through the bridge. The crew was tense but calm, their faces reflecting pride without arrogance. They had not sought glory, yet the universe had begun to notice them. Helena's eyes scanned the vast holographic displays, showing the positions of distant fleets and colonies. Humans had defended their convoy with precision, yet they had offered no unnecessary violence. They fought to protect, not destroy. A young communications officer approached her nervously. Admiral, messages are arriving from multiple civilizations. They want to know more about Earth. They want to speak, to learn. even to cooperate. Helena nodded, her voice steady but gentle. They are curious now. They see us as something more than a rumor. Let them understand humanity not through fear, but through respect. We have waited for this moment, not to rule, but to be recognized for who we are. In distant systems, alien diplomats whispered among themselves. These humans, they fight, yes, but not recklessly. They protect, but they do not conquer. Their fleet, it is unlike anything we have known. Another voice replied, we cannot understand them yet. Perhaps we never will. They act with a purpose we cannot measure. The revelation spread across the galaxy. Humanity's power was not measured in the destruction of others, but in their restraint, their careful strategy, and their willingness to endure hardships. Humans had survived countless trials on their own planet, built strength quietly, and now emerged as a force no one had expected. Helena turned to her officers, her gaze calm but intense. This is what the galaxy must see, she said. Not that we are unstoppable, but that we act for more than ourselves. Humans protect, endure, and inspire. Let this be our message. We exist, we prepare, and when the time comes, we will act with purpose. A young pilot, still feeling the adrenaline from the battle, asked softly, Admiral, why do they fear us when we only defend? Helena smiled faintly, her eyes thoughtful. Because strength without arrogance is rare, because patience is often mistaken for weakness, and because the galaxy has forgotten that humanity does not give up easily. In the weeks that followed, human ships began to assist colonies and systems affected by natural disasters or conflict. Humans repaired, worlds transported supplies and offered protection, never demanding tribute or allegiance. The galaxy began to see that humanity's warships were not merely instruments of destruction, they were vessels of hope. An alien ambassador, observing Earth's fleets, spoke to his council. We misjudged them. Earth is not weak. They fight, yes, but they also build, protect, and endure. Their presence changes the balance of the galaxy not through fear but through quiet strength. Helena watched from her command seat as distant worlds received aid from humans. This is the lesson we have waited to teach, she said softly. Strength is not just weapons. Strength is courage, preparation, and compassion. Humanity has shown it in silence for centuries. Now the galaxy will remember. Even in the quiet darkness of space, the human's presence was felt. Every action, every calculated move, every act of protection became a message. Earth was no longer a bystander. Humans had arrived not to conquer but to endure, to protect, and to rise above expectations. The galaxy began to understand a simple truth. Humans were different. They were not the most advanced, not the loudest, not the most aggressive, but they were patient, brave, and relentless. And that combination made them unforgettable. Helena's eyes softened as she gazed at the stars. We did not come to claim the galaxy, she whispered. We came to remind it that underestimating humanity is a mistake it will never make again. The galaxy was changing. Aliens who had once dismissed Earth as unimportant were now seeking communication. They wanted treaties, alliances, and understanding. Humanity's arrival had not been loud or boastful, but it was unforgettable. Every civilization that had ignored Earth for centuries now realized they were facing a force of patience, courage, and purpose. Admiral Helena Ray stood on the bridge of Titan's Wrath, watching as envoys from multiple alien races arrived in orbit. Ships of all shapes and sizes glided past, carrying diplomats who had once scoffed at humanity. Now their eyes reflected caution, respect, and even fear. A young officer approached Helena nervously. Admiral, they're here to negotiate. Do we trust them? Helena shook her head slowly, her voice calm. Trust is earned, not given. But we will meet them. We do not hide behind fear, and we do not attack without cause. Humanity leads with action, not arrogance. Let them see that. In the council chambers aboard Titan's Wrath, alien ambassadors waited, their eyes wary. Helena entered, flanked by her officers, her presence calm but commanding. "You wanted to test Earth," she said simply. "You underestimated us. You assumed we were weak, distracted, unprepared. You were wrong. But now, there is a choice. You can continue fear and hostility, or you can learn from us." Whispers filled the chamber. Alien leaders glanced at each other, realizing the humans were unlike any species they had encountered. They were strong, yes, but not cruel. They were prepared, but not arrogant. And most importantly, they acted with purpose. A diplomat from the Lyrian Empire spoke cautiously. We underestimated your species, but your actions have saved countless colonies. You offer aid, yet your fleet is armed beyond imagination. How do we know we can trust you?" Helena's eyes softened, her voice steady and warm. "Trust is built through action. We do not ask for your obedience. We do not demand loyalty. We protect, we endure, and we act when necessary. That is who we are. And that is the lesson we bring to the galaxy." Outside, human warships glided through space, their presence quiet but undeniable. Thousands of vessels were strategically positioned, not as a threat, but as a reminder. Humanity was ready for anything. Alien fleets could not attack without severe risk. Humanity had shown restraint, yet the galaxy knew that restraint did not mean weakness. The aliens began to sign accords, slowly but surely. Systems that had fought for centuries now agreed to peace. Colonies that had struggled alone welcomed Earth's fleets to provide aid and security. The galaxy was realizing that Earth had arrived not as a conqueror, but as a stabilizing force. A young officer watched the treaty signings on the bridge. "Admiral, we've changed the galaxy without firing a single shot." Helena's gaze swept across the stars. "Yes," she said quietly. "We have changed it through patience, strategy, and courage. We have reminded every civilization that strength is not only measured in weapons, but in the choices we make, the lives we protect, and the patience we show before we act." In the weeks that followed, human fleets continued to move between colonies and systems. They rebuilt, healed, and ensured peace, demonstrating that their power was not only in fighting, but in leading by example. Alien civilizations began to see Earth as a force for hope, a reminder that courage and restraint could coexist in one species. Helena stood at the window of the command bridge, watching the stars shimmer. "We have not arrived to rule the galaxy," she whispered to herself. "We have arrived to remind it that patience, courage, and strength together can change the universe." And in that quiet, the galaxy understood a truth it would never forget. Humans did not conquer through fear. They rose through resolve, preparation, and the courage to act when the time was right. Earth's presence was no longer a whisper. It was a turning point. Years had passed since humanity first revealed itself to the galaxy. The whispers of Earth's power had grown into a chorus of respect, awe, and sometimes fear. Civilizations that had once dismissed humans now looked to them not as conquerors but as protectors. Humanity had arrived quietly, patiently, and the galaxy would never forget it. Admiral Helena Ray stood on the bridge of Titan's Wrath, older now, her face lined with years of responsibility, but her eyes still sharp and bright. She watched distant colonies flourish under human aid. Systems once torn by conflict now stabilized by careful diplomacy and human presence. The galaxy had changed because humans had chosen action, courage, and compassion over arrogance. A young officer, full of hope and excitement, approached her. "Admiral, look at them. Entire star systems now trust us. They listen to our advice, even rely on our fleets for protection. We've done more than anyone thought possible." Helena nodded slowly. "Yes," she said, her voice soft but steady. "But remember, we did not arrive to be praised. We arrived to protect, to endure, and to remind the galaxy of something it often forgets. Patience, courage, and purpose are as powerful as any weapon. Across space, humans maintained fleets strategically positioned, not for war, but as guardians. Thousands of ships floated silently in key star systems, a reminder that Earth had prepared, watched, and acted, not for glory, but for survival and protection. Alien leaders now treated humans with respect, signing alliances and accords that would shape the galaxy for generations. In a distant council, an elder alien diplomat spoke quietly to his peers. Humans, they are not like us. They fight when necessary, yes, but they also build, they protect, they endure. They do not seek power for themselves. And that is their strength. Helena walked through the corridors of the flagship, observing young officers training, learning, and preparing for the future. She thought about the past, the centuries of quiet preparation, the secret fleets, the patient waiting. Humanity had missed countless galactic meetings, been ignored, laughed at, underestimated. And yet, when the time came, they had stepped forward not as rebels or tyrants, but as a force that reshaped the galaxy. A communications officer approached her nervously. "Admiral, children across colonies are learning about us, about Earth, about what humans achieved. They look up at the stars and dream." Helena's lips curved into a faint smile. "Let them dream," she said. "Let them know that courage, patience, and strength can change the universe. That underestimating humanity is a mistake no one will repeat." She paused, gazing out the massive observation window at the glittering stars. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else. "We missed their meetings, yes, but we made them remember us forever." The galaxy had learned a powerful truth. Humans were not the loudest or most advanced, but they were relentless, brave, and wise beyond expectation. They did not conquer through fear. They rose through preparation, unity, and the courage to act when the moment demanded it. Every system they touched, every colony they aided, every fleet they deployed became a living reminder of Earth's presence. As the stars shimmered, reflecting off the hulls of human warships quietly patrolling distant space, Helena felt a deep sense of peace. The galaxy was no longer a place that ignored Earth. It was a place that respected humanity, feared their wrath, and admired their resolve. And somewhere deep in the void, Earth's heartbeat echoed across the stars. Quiet, patient, and unstoppable, a planet that had waited centuries to reveal itself, now standing as a guardian, a symbol, a legacy. Helena's voice carried softly across the flagship, reaching every officer. "We arrived late to their councils, but we arrived in time to remind the galaxy of one truth. Humanity will endure, humanity will protect, and humanity will never be forgotten." In that moment, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if honoring the quiet force that had waited patiently for its moment. Earth had missed every galactic meeting, but in doing so it had written a history the galaxy would remember for all time.